We've got three panellists here today who have sat at the forefront of these sorts of transformations. We've got Cyril, we've got Yenny, and we've got Kristine, and they're going to each share. We did have a fourth panellist who unfortunately took ill at last minute, so Max wasn't able to be with us today. But thank you very much for your time. I would like each of you firstly just to explain who you are and your organisation and the role that you play. I'll start with you, Kristine.
Great. And I think that's on. My name is Kristine Holden. I work for the Kanda Group. We're a national organisation that delivers support services across the disability, child protection. We dabble in vets and ageing, agency, and nursing in the home. So we're quite a big organisation. We've seen a lot of change and transformation in the last 2.5 years. We're very lucky to be also supported by our capital investment group, which has helped us in our transformation over those few years.
Thank you. And Yenny? I'm not sure.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Yenny. I'm working from Sanofi. Sanofi, you might know that it's a global pharmaceutical company. So it's, if you know AstraZeneca, Pfizer, we are a company developers. So we produce vaccines, flu vaccines, and what they have on a yearly basis. That's also from us. We have children immunizations. We have various different prescriptive products. And also the blockbuster that we have today is Dupixent, which is atopic dermatitis medication. So it's targeted the immunology therapeutic area. So I'm working in Sanofi for more than a decade now, from the various different roles, from the finance functional controller to start with, at a local affiliate, which is Australia, New Zealand, and then moving on to regional roles to China, Asia Pacific as the head of FP&A. Then currently I'm taking care of the finance transformations globally as part of the team that's taking care of the AI and transformations for the financial forecasting. So I'm very glad to be part of the panel and sharing with you some of the insights that we go through in terms of the AI transformation.
And Cyril.
Thank you, James. My name is Cyril Gabriel. I'm the CFO at Academic SI. I literally took Tarek's experimentation mindset to heart, so I've taken both the roles. And the Academic SI is a digital skills education business. We sort of train organizations to individuals in that digital transformation, creating that awareness and so on. As a former CFO, I've sat at the cusp of nut crunching and digital transformation. So it sort of resonates to what we're doing at Academic SI. Looking forward to the panel discussion.
Yeah. So in my experience, having dealt with and having sat on executive teams for a number of organisations over my career, there's always been a tension point between the people who are, with the finance people, they're there to kind of keep score, control the numbers, but they're also there to enable the business to grow. And I think that there's managing that tension is part of your daily routine. When you overlay that with a digital transformation, life gets difficult, right? So be interested in hearing some of your experiences. And I've got a few questions that, by the way, this hasn't been staged, so I've got no planted questions. Let me just start. I might start with Yenny. And thinking about developing your area of responsibility as a centre of excellence, what have you found is the most important aspect of making that operating model that you've designed actually stick and having your colleagues and your executives really buy into that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So in my previous role, before the current role, I had over China, Asia Pacific. It's called FP&A service. It's kind of the center of excellence. So I started with first with the China, Asia Pacific. So I taking care of the China implementation at the time, moving the resources, basically centralize the FP&A functions from the China into the central hub. So we have quite a few different central hubs to start with. So I built the team basically in a few different locations, initially in China, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and some in Australia as well. And then gradually moved them centralized into Kuala Lumpur, which is currently our service hub. So I think the journey there is not easy for sure, because moving resources is meaning taking away the resource from the local CFO and moving it to the central locations under my remit. And the transformation itself is, of course, we're gonna dealing with a lot of resistance because people gonna look at some will have a changing job, some will impact some of the roles as well at the locally at the country level, and that's not easy. And then why we're going to do this, I think that the purpose is need to be very clear and communicated to the different level of organizations. From the top leadership supports, I think that is the key, so that everyone has the same understanding, has the same goal, has the same clarity into where we want to be, and what is the target organization that we want to see, and how the success going to be looks like. So that is the criteria as one of the success criteria that we have at the time. So it's I would say take about quite half the year to transition people from the different remit, the different area of responsibility within a centralized team. And in the middle of that's journey as well, there's a lot of the knowledge transfer itself is not easy as well. Because when people transfer the knowledge from the country to the central team, the knowledge itself, when you tell someone something, you learn something new, and then in most of the time, 80% of them, you lost them. You only retain 20% of the knowledge. So that's also the challenge. That's building the central team from the bottom up. It's the transition of the knowledge is something that we need to be very mindful, how to scale up the knowledge, how to make that the standard that we can expect to see up and running. At the end of the day, it's I think the collaborations itself, it's important from the different various stakeholders, from the top leadership at the country level and also at the hub level. The collaboration within the team, it needs to be to the standard that we can expect, maintain at the level of the service that we expect it to be. So there should be SLA in place in terms of how the response would be expected from the service, from Central of Excellence, to maintain. We have the SLA of 2 or 3 days for a response, a resolution. So we have the tracking as well, the KPI, in terms of the monthly tracking, how many requests has been raised, how many has been resolved, how many has been pending, how many are they the one that is out of SLA. So we need monitoring it quite closely, and then we have the governance in place that's looking at what are the areas that could be the potential risks, what can be improved, and so on.
And I guess I want to lean into the question that John asked of Tariq earlier about change management. At the very beginning of your journey, how big a battle was change management, managing people's views? I mean, humans are change resistant, right? We don't like change. But taking your people on that journey, was that a significant battle for you?
It is quite a significant battle, especially with China. China is somehow it's a different culture as well. It's a huge market for Sanofi, second biggest market in Sanofi. And of course, they are in the culture is different as well, and the way that some of them are quite regulate, I would say legislative restriction as well. There's some area that they cannot take outside China. So in that sense, we need to be able to work around that and see what are the tasks that we can move outside China into the centralized team. I think at the end of the day, how to move ahead is we need to be able to work with the key stakeholders.
Yeah.
The key stakeholders meaning that the leadership, the CFO, and also the key finance leaders in the country, to be able to have the alignment with them. And as a first place, is a one key step forwards. And once we get alignment with the senior stakeholders, and the rest will follow by itself.
Understand. Thank you. I'm going to jump to you in a moment. I'm going to go to Kristine for a quick second. If you think about your journey, Kristine, there would have been a number of functions that you felt were out of step with the direction of the business needed to go into. Can you sort of list off a couple of some of those functions that you felt needed to be transformed?
Yeah, sure. Along our journey, we've done multiple acquisitions, and with multiple acquisitions became multiple softwares, multiple rostering systems, multiple processes. So our change management journey really began from the very first moment we walked in the door. Our culture was a really important thing for us to align, so we had to work really hard on our culture to make sure that everybody was on the bus. and that we were all heading in the same direction from the C-suite right down, because obviously joining of multiple companies meant multiple leaders. Once we strategically aligned and got our journey and our path forward in the right direction, then we started to look at each stream or each COO's area, and to make sure that my path was going to match the path of my team members, and that we were all on the same journey. And if it wasn't, why wasn't it? And how do we direct that back into the same direction? It's quite a journey. It's not easy. There's lots of conversation, there's lots of rebuttal, there's lots of paths forward, steps backwards. But that's the real core concept of us getting to the other side and following the same direction.
So really, you've almost, I'm going back to the notes that I took from Tariq's presentation. You had your why,
Yeah,
you designed with purpose,
yeah.
and you won with a mindset. There you go.
Yeah, well, there
you
you
must
go.
have read his book. Did you read his book first?
No, I wish I did, because like it doesn't work without that. And we learned that in the early days. So from the very first acquisition, you know, nothing's perfect. We made lots of mistakes. Let's all put it on the table. We really did. But from that, we stood back and reflected, and on the next acquisition, we had a plan, and then made some mistakes on the next acquisition. We had a plan. So we're not perfect, but we are in a much better position strategically going forward with acquisitions than what we were on the first day. And the first day was scary. Now we just go, oh, okay, let's put this into place. And we follow the path, we get everybody on for the journey. And it's that journey and that bus that everyone needs to be on to make it work. Because if there's even a couple off the bus gets a flat tire,
Yeah.
and it goes left, and we have to park it for a while and realign. So.
There you go, Tariq. Real life validation of what you were saying.
Yeah, I have learned from a lot of these success stories, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, your turn now. Thinking back to before you went through your journey to today, tell us a little bit about what's different and what feels different, what areas of improvement you've experienced and why that's been important.
Feels like I'm preparing reports for myself.
Yeah?
Because I'm the CEO. Outside that, obviously, it's what I've learned as a CEO is what I really don't need a CFO to be doing. I need the CFO to be empowering me to make decisions as quickly as possible.
Not to say no.
Not to say no.
Yeah.
Find a way for me to say yes,
Yeah.
and when. I think that's been critical. And in my own personal journey, that's been really helpful, and it's an insight. Because CFOs are true business partners to a CEO. We empower businesses to make creative decisions, right? And not just number crunching. And if we don't get those numbers right and put the onus back on the CEO, we can see how businesses don't make decisions when they need to. And then the volatility hits and businesses get caught in that sort of kerfuffle, right? So I think it is, personally for me, leading from a CFO to CEO, the transformation has been very insightful because I can learn from what I should be doing, empowering, with automations in place, creating like reports that actually empower leaders to make those innovative decisions. That's been very crucial and critical. At the same time, sitting at the CEO's table, I've realized there's a lot of reports to Tariq's point. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
And I've just thought about the 20 years of me putting all those reports through that now I know the CEOs don't read it. So what do they really need? They need to be agile. They need to be empowered to make decisions. And in the world of AI, we can provide that. And at the end of the day, automations are there. But if we don't improvise on our current workflows, as Yanni and Kristine mentioned, we're just sort of automating that wastage and the clutter moving forward.
So to all the CFOs in the room, think about how much time your staff spend doing stuff that doesn't really change the dial. Perhaps, Yanni, I'll ask that question of you. Prior to your journey, what's the question I'm asking? What productivity gains have you found as a result of the transformation, and how much of your staff's time are doing things that really do change the dial now, move the dial?
Yeah, so that is very important question because at the end of the day, I mean, we all want to see the real benefit, the real results out of all the transformation that we are undergoing. The key is to have a clear in mind, okay, what is the target, how we're going to measure it, and how does it looks like in terms of the outcome. I think that the targeted areas of the efficiency gain is one thing, but more importantly is how we're going to reallocate the time out of that efficiency that we gain to do something, other activities that is more value added to the business. So yes, we can automate producing the reports, creating a narrative for the variance gaps that can be automated with AI, ML, Gen AI as well. With the reconciliation, consolidation, they all can be automation even without AI, it can be done as well. So out of that, what it can we gain, what time can we get back, and how we're going to use the time is that the real measures where the benefits lies.
By the way, if anyone has questions for the panel, please jump in. If you think of something to ask, by all means, just ask for, there's a microphone around here, Manisha's got a microphone. Kristine, back to you. You've built up your team, you've been through your journey, you're at a stage now where you're pretty comfortable with where things are at. You need to hire someone. What do you look for in a new hire as you build out your team? What are the qualities that you look? Do we look for digital natives? Do we hire an old dinosaur like myself and try and teach them the new ways, or what do you look for?
I used to look for qualifications. I used to look at, do they meet all my criteria? I don't anymore. Importantly to me is I'm building a strong core team. I look for, are they the right fit for my team? So are they culturally right for my group? Because we know one toxic button is the breaker of everything. So I first of all look for that cultural fit. Do I always get it right? No, I don't. But I that's one really important thing for my team. I look in their resume also for anything that might say they've been part of another team before, they've been through change, they've been part of a transformation team, or they've actually they want to get on that journey, so they're hungry, they want to learn something new. Our organisation is really big. You won't know everything that we do because we're dealing with multiple funding streams and all those bits and pieces. I do look for a little core set of skill sets, obviously. I don't just employ anybody, but at the same time, we do things the way that our organisation does things. We bring everybody on for the journey. We're looking for new ideas, we're looking for opinions, we're looking for people to show us something new, and if that's who we get, but we're looking for that cultural fit. And if I can get that cultural fit and have ticked a few other boxes, that's what I'm looking for. It's no longer that typical, do you have a CPA, do you have all of these bits and pieces? You don't have to have a CPA to be really good at your job and be innovative.
Go ahead.
If I can add from what Kristine has explained, I totally agree with Christina. It's the culture fit is very important. So one the culture fit breaks is gonna break the team, the whole team. But on top of that, in my view, that's now that we have this AI scaling very fast, and a lot more people using AI. So what is the full future workforce looks like? Everyone needs to know how to use AI, not just about how to use AI. The question is how does AI will help you to do your job better. So that is what really a lot of people, including myself, can be looking at. Because when I select or hiring a team member that can demonstrate how he or she can use AI to substantially, materially improve their performance, whether it's creating analysis that's shortened from a few days to just an hour because they use AI, or creating a dashboard, or creating a PowerPoint as a simple thing, creating a PowerPoint that used to take a number of days and days to compile a PowerPoint presentation, but someone that can use AI, know how to use the prompt to use the AI properly, can do it in just a few hours. So that is very significant difference between someone that can use AI and can leverage that tool to be able to do much better job and create an impact That is what's the difference.
Understand. Cyril, I might ask this question of you. Is the journey never ending? Is it like painting the harbour bridge? Or do you get to an end point and you say, I'm done now, I'm done, I've transformed, that's it, I can sit back and rest?
I don't think there's ever going to be a place where you said you're done. I've done the full digital
By the way, I'm going to
transformation.
ask you that same question. So get ready to jump in there. Okay.
So I think it's always a learning pain for finance individuals. I think to resonate on what Kristine and Yanni has mentioned, I think the ownership mentality is important because that breeds creativity.
Yeah.
That's something AI cannot replace, right? The creativity it can produce data, but you still need to be able to have the creativity and the understanding and the ownership to translate that information to what the business really needs. So we become, in a way, influencers, right? That's very critical in the modern era. That means you're constantly innovating, you're constantly influencing business decisions. That's never ending.
Yeah.
And if you need to be constantly evolving as a business and in a dynamic market, then you need to keep innovating. That means that digital transformation is never ending. That's great. Tarek can always have a job. It's continuing consulting for various businesses. But having said that, I think the real challenge comes with how quickly can you adapt to these ever-evolving conditions and so on.
Yeah. And do we have, and this is the question for you, I'll hand that mic. Are we at a stage where, like, what's the future going to look like? The AI technology is just going to get better and better. Information will get to us quicker and quicker. Where does it all end?
So, I mean, again, building on what Cyril mentioned, it's not gonna end, right? There is no end goal. There is no end point.
Yeah.
There are milestones that we will achieve throughout our journey.
Yeah.
That will be driven by our vision. That okay, next 3 years, this is what we are going to achieve. Now, we need to detach ourselves a little bit from technology. I know we want to be associated with AI. We want to know about technology and everything. So, but we do, again, I mean, this is what I do for a living, but still, I would say that detach from technology a little bit and think about your business first. Okay, what is the problem that we are trying to solve? The reason I always talk about these traditional AI techniques or these, machine learning stuff, a lot of business problems that I find people are facing, I find the businesses are facing, are still 20 years old problems. They can still be solved using machine learning. They can still be solved with much more simpler methods as opposed to training generative AI or agentic models for that matter. So think about what's your business goals are, what's your business objective, what's your vision is for next 3 years, 5 years. Once you get there, your business will be moving. Your business will evolve already. You will then move on to the different one. Technology is just an enabler that will help you get there, right? Get to a point. It is like thinking that when will my business stop working, right? We would never want that to stop working, right? We would always want our business to grow and grow. So if we want to grow our business, technology will keep on enabling us to do that. How it does that, that is up to us to decide.
Of course. Thank you. Don't go, thanks. Okay. I'll probably come back to you.
I can bring it here.
Maybe, yeah, you can fill in for Max. Kristine, your people, I go back to people again, because I think the core of success for any transformation journey needs to be the change management and taking your people on that journey. Thinking back to when you started your journey to now, there's probably an obvious answer to my question, but I want to ask, how do they feel? Were they scared then and are they scared still, or are they kind of more aligned to the direction?
I think when we started out, everybody was frightened. Everyone was losing their jobs. That was what everybody said. What about me? I can't automate anything. I don't want to use it. And they didn't. They didn't use our automations because they thought they were losing their jobs. It was a really big task of communication, of explaining to them that this was your job yesterday, and this is your job tomorrow. Where, you're now auditors. You're checking the data. Just because it's automated doesn't make it right. Okay, and when we had to get them on that journey and explain to them, now I have people saying, oh, the automation's broken, how am I meant to get all my work done? Changing them and getting them on that thought process was highly complex because some people are never going to want to get on. Some people think that they're stuck in the dinosaur age and I can't possibly use a computer and I can't understand this process. We did lots of different things. We implemented a program called Scribe. I can't sell it enough, but it's a visual program for a lot of our team members, which took them on that journey of visual and gave them the safety net to fall back on. But just trying to get them on that bus, and not everybody did. Some people jumped off, some people left. They really did leave us. Some left in droves because they didn't want to change, especially in some of the acquisitions when we changed and became very process driven. Some of them came up with really great ideas and we were able to change our direction and engage in that and really put us on a different path again. And then some of it is still in development. So a lot of it we're still developing, stepping forward, stepping backwards, talking very much like before about drawing the line of where we're going to be in the future and continually reflecting on that and changing as we need to. So it's always evolving. And making sure that our team are all understanding where we're evolving to so that the fright is gone, and now we have a really strong team that are willing to change and the ideas are flowing. So
Yeah.
If I can add to the Christina stories, I think that resonates as well in Sanofi. We experienced the same thing about the fear of the job loss, the fear of the AI coming and taking my job. And the voice come out. It's a lot. I mean, and the way we do it in Sanofi is we need to have the clear communication from the top leadership, from the global ExCom, from the CFO, from the global CEO. That's we have a town hall, we have a Q&A. From the Q&A, people raising the questions. So is there any job cut plan? Right? So that's a real question that people ask. Is there any job cut plan because of this? We are now embarking the AI journey, and that is addressing also directly the pain, the fear that people.
Is that an ongoing concern for your staff, or now that you've made the transformation, they're more comfortable with it?
Yes, that is a period of time. I would say probably about a year, and that's a lot of still question coming pop up here and there. But recently, I think there's a lot less, much less that we hear that kind of questions. Is there any job loss? Is there any different roles? So the clarity from the top leadership is very important. But along with that, along with the communication, is one more important thing is the upskilling. So people fear because they don't know how to use it, or some people they don't know how to use it. Some may be more advanced. But there's a little gaps between, the one that know how to use, the one that understand better what is it does for me. So creating that, leveling up the gaps, closing the gaps of this capability is important. Along with that, communication, we need to have upskilling, training. Like for example, this month we have what we call a digital month. Digital month, we have a few sessions that hosted centrally by the central team to best practice sharing, for example. How to write a prompt, what is a good prompt looks like, how can you leverage someone else's prompt and save it so that anyone else can use it, the same prompt, and do it much quicker. So these kind of things, that's best practice sharing, that people know, oh yes, I can do it as well, that, oh yes, that's much easier than I thought. So those kind of things that will alleviate, lessen down the fear and start getting involvement of the people, get engaged. Oh yes, that's very exciting. That's a very, it's kind of a kids given toy. Oh yeah, this is very, it's very exciting toy to play with. They're not getting a lot of interest with the competition as well. We run a competition, maybe the prize as well. Again, who is the best prom? Can demonstrate the best prom. So those kind of examples that, it's a journey. It starts with a peak when people getting nervous, getting fear, and then it starts to level down. But along that is the process of understanding, clear communication, and upskilling as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I want to ask you the same, because you're a training organization. So how do you train people? How do you train your own people to adapt?
It's awareness, right?
Yeah, right.
As long as the business is aware, you are going to go through this transformation perpetually.
Yeah.
And the technology that you're talking about evolves like rapidly. As
So
long
to
as
this point, yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the vision is important alongside communication and clearly articulating be prepared.
And why?
We are disrupted,
Yeah.
and we're disrupted for this reason, and we're constantly going to keep evolving. As long as the business knows that there's that evolution, and then you're clearly communicating what is being disrupted, what are the technology changes, and what potential opportunities are there for people, right? Like to Tarek's question, nobody likes non-bent. Like, it's most stressful time for any finance team. How can we take that stress away from them? Providing them the awareness of the opportunity that's there, that the technology presents, I think is super important. Then you bring people along the journey, they'll say, oh yes, I don't like doing that particular process, which is the most time consuming. Maybe we can automate that. Can I be part of that decision-making curve rather than just doing the number crunching bit and passing it on to the next person? Giving them this opportunity of skill, right? And to Kristine's point, that then gives you the opportunity to decide, are you going to be the finance team of the future? Or are you going to be the finance team that's going to be left behind? Because AI is going to be there, and people are going to be there still. It's going to be always human and AI, but it's people that can use that technology efficiently that are going to be replaced with people that can't.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience at this point? Yes. We've got a microphone here. Just grab this one.
Some of the panelists have already touched on it, but I was interested to see what Tarek and also the panel's thoughts are on the potential regulatory impact of AI. It's been quite a bit of newsprint lately around both sides of politics. No one wants to deal with 10% unemployment. Where do you see that in Australia, and where do you see it in the rest of the world?
Who wants to have a go at that?
So your question is more around the regulatory framework or more around the impact on the economies?
Well, I think that both Labor and Liberal, particularly Labor because they're in government, they're looking to put boundaries on AI because ultimately there's a lot of news press, rightly or wrongly, saying there's going to be a lot of people out of work. They might pander to the man on the street, but do you see the limitations, or are governments going to limit what AI can or can't do, or is it going to happen regardless, and Australia will be left behind if you deregulate?
I agree to this last point that we are a bit of a laggers in that space. Let's face it. World is moving much faster, and in redesigning what work means in future. Now, the point here is not about whether there will be roles that will get redundant or there will be tasks that will be automated, because they will be, right? They will always be, and they have always been, right? From first industrial revolution till now, it has always been happening. But how do we, as we talked about this creative destruction, how do we redesign the work? So what does work mean in future? How does the value shift within the organization? So for example, now the value is no longer lies in doing month end, for instance, right? It lies in how do we enable decision making for the CEO. So how do we redesign our roles at an organizational level for those? And then that applies to the governments as well. That how do they redesign the entire governance infrastructure, entire regulatory environment on shifting those roles? No one wants in political scenario, no one would want a government organization to be losing 20,000 employees to AI, right? No one would want that in their sane mind. But that's not about people leaving. It's about how do we redesign the work? How do we reshuffle the work where the value sits now? For that, we need to have a very clear, again, a vision, a roadmap that how do we get there? It's not, again, just about getting productivity or getting a few hours here or there. We do have a productivity gap from an Australia point of view as well, but it's not just about that. It is also about how do we redesign and redefine the work that we are going to do in the future, and that needs things like sovereign AI capabilities, building our own internal ability to be able to do that. I hope this touches some part of your very interesting question. It is very good question. Very good question.
I might chime in as well. This is something curious. So I think there's going to be regulations, right? There's no two ways about it. You need guardrails at the end of it because it's a technology that evolves. It's a technology that uses data. And in a digital world, data is your asset. It's an IP. So there's going to be guardrails, especially in government departments where there's a lot of protected information. There's going to be a lot more guardrails. But having said that, you like to look at it from sector to sector. Australia's known for its mining sector. Financial services were pretty strong. If you look at that, we're miles ahead in terms of technology with those, because first they have the money to deploy in technology and spend $10 billion to educate their people, like CBA, for example. Then there's that transformation that happens. But what a good transformation is that vision. Those companies have the vision in advance to see where the guardrails need to happen, who's the technology we're building for, how's the technology going to adapt to it, right? While there may be displacement of people that use the technology or that don't, there's always an opportunity that is also created by the technology. For example, just in New South Wales, we need to address 88,000 skills gap in technology alone by 2030. How is traditional education going to provide 80,000 people in New South Wales with technology digital skills? So obviously skills are super important to go with it. It's not the qualifications alone. Hopefully that also addresses some of you.
Thank you.
That's about a little bit as well. We work in the social services and we deliver child protection. A really great example of that is having to de-identify everything that we have in order to send it via email or anything. It's a very cumbersome, manually handled role. We're at the moment developing a tool so that it will automate and de-identify, but that has to be in our own environment. So, and we're working with the state government at the moment to have our tool passed under their criteria so that then we can use that and leverage that through the organisation. And in our organisation, that will also then enable us to use it in the disability space, in the aged care space, where confidentiality is regulatory, obviously. The other part to it is circling back, is the employment environment has changed. We no longer want people in our industry. We don't have people seeking full-time jobs. Full-time employment is not something that people regularly come to us and ask for. We have permanent part-time or we have casual staff. So in our space, it's that casual employment that's creating some of our problems with the AI and getting people on board because it's transient between organisations. But if that answers anything with the regulatory side of it, it is absolutely a very fine line between what you can and can't do. And it's just working with those government bodies and making sure that we tick all the boxes to move forward.
Hold the microphone, because my next question is for you again. Just going back to the journey again. And for the benefit of anyone in the audience that's about to embark on that journey, what are some of the mistakes you made? And with the mindset of fail fast and move on, how did you recover?
Some of the mistakes. I think one of the big mistakes at the start was we didn't communicate well.
Right.
We didn't build that initial foundation. We siloed ourselves off and we looked after what we needed to do in our own little C-suite. And not everybody considered each other. And I know that not everybody in this room probably comes from finance, but finance is the end product. Everything that comes into us has to be telling a story. And if it's not telling the right story, then we don't get the right outcomes. So from our space, we were doing what we knew was right for the business to move forward, but we weren't communicating that to the teams that were giving us that information. And instantly we had holes in data, in our way forward. We were needing more bums on seats than ever to just get the work done, to show historical data. We weren't able to be ready to say, well, this is what we know going forward. We were just in the chase stage all the time. And obviously that stops decisions, or we made poor decisions then because we really didn't have current data that we could actually trust and stand by. Whereas now we've built really a good foundation between all of our streams. We work together. We make sure that the data is right from the start to the finish, which is then allows us to tell a very accurate story, not just using financial data, but using operational data at the same time, which is giving us better deliverables, which is giving us better outcomes, and is allowing us to scale and also scale in the AI space because our data talks to each other, regardless of where it sits in the organisation. It's coded the same. It's all those bits and pieces that if you don't have your clear foundations in place, it's not usable data anyway.
Yeah, understand. Yenny, who owns the finance operating model? Is it the CFO? Is it the CEO? Is it the... I'm not going to ask this question of Cyril because he's both the CEO and the CFO. But in your view, who owns the operating model?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. So who owns this operating model? I mean, is finance decide or is it's non-finance also has a voice on it? In my view, I think it should be a collaborative process because finance is it's a business partner. So finance is collaborating as a partner with the commercial team, and that's need to be a two-way benefit or partnering level to see that when decision is made about the operating model. I think it's not just finance need to be involved in that decision making. It's I think it's the overall the stakeholders as well need to have part of the decision process need to have a say as well as and to decide what is the best operating model for the organization, not for particularly finance alone or not for any specific function alone.
I saw you nodding your head a lot, Cyril, so I'm assuming you got a view on this as well.
Yeah, I think to Kristine's point, finance are the end product or the results of the business. So I think the way a finance operates is dictated by the business. Like what type of business? No two finance teams are the same. I can tell you we're all operate very differently on how we set up from our CRMs to ERPs. It'll be very different. So in a way, it's the business that dictates it. And sometimes the way when CFOs move from company to company, you sort of adapt, right? You might have a say down the line to say, okay, we need to get new systems in place, but eventually you adapt to the business. So I think the business sort of dictates what the finance model needs to look like, and we become the custodians of that business model, and we make sure that's protected.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a couple more questions, but before I move on, any other questions from the audience? Yes, yes. Oh, plenty. Good.
Okay, go first.
I'll come back to you in a moment.
Thank you. Finance transformation programs require money, and lots of it. And boards like return on investment. When you're trying to put in a transformation program where you're saying to your staff, we want more of you and the system to do more of the automated things, that doesn't save money or create return on investment. How do you navigate the business case?
I'll talk into that because we're just in the middle of some finance transformation and we're changing software. So we're actually closing out about 5 different softwares into one. And it's not about the now, it's about the future. So we're looking to scale. So what we've spoken to is the ability for the business with the transformations that we're doing to continue to scale without having to increase our footprint, which saves us on office space, it saves us on staffing space, it saves us on, you know, all of the bits and pieces that join to it. That's the main way how we've got our strategies across. We've spoken to, you know, the 3-year strategy or 5-year strategy looks like this. If we do this now, this is where we'll end up, and these are the savings we'll make. And if we don't do it now, this is where we'll be in 3 years' time, and this will be what our footprint looks like, and this is the implications of that. So a lot of what we do is based on our 3 and 5 year strategy that's already agreed on by the board and how we can make them savings. It may not happen today, but the return on investment is in that 1 year, 2 year strategy space.
So essentially you put the fear of God into them, into your shareholders. That's what there's the answer. Fear of God.
Yeah, I think I resonate with what Kristine mentioned is short term versus long term. Which one you're going to choose to put forward. So in the case of in Sanofi, how we do it is we have the governance in place. So decision point framework, where the business case submissions, where we want to invest on a certain AI functionality, that's agentic or is a different software or tool. We have in very strong, rigor that we need to put in place, okay, to justify how much is the investment, what is the benefits, who is impacted, okay, is that aligned with the company priorities, is it aligned with the overall ambitions of Sanofi? So those are the prioritizations. So that is important because we receive a lot of initiatives from everywhere, from across the world, various function, business units. Everyone has their own needs, initiative as well. This is how we think we can automate this. But with that many requests, we need to be able to prioritize with a very strong framework governance on which one is aligned with our company ambition. R&D, especially, that's where the pharma space is. But where is, probably, and what is the impact? How many people is impacted? What is the process impacted? What is the, articulate where is the P&L line that we can put the benefits? It needs to be very transparent. So those are the, how we're gonna run the criteria, prioritizations and the governance that's in place.
Thank you.
I think you can reduce the impact of the return on investment, touching on the point of piloting it. It might be more digestible for leaders and boards to say, instead of $1 million transformation, saying that the $1 million investment would give you this return on investment, but we can pilot it and show you how it works within, say, the finance team or the sales and marketing team. That will exhibit that works, and there's a return on investment which is easy to scale and go back to them with that point of view as well.
At the mic. So my question is about what are the examples of the most successful redeployment of the resources freed by the transformation you found?
Yeah, I can give some example. In Sanofi, in my area in particular, I'm doing the transformations for AI powered forecasting. So meaning we are leveraging AI ML machine learning to generate a forecasting baseline. So we started long time ago. I think that's before COVID. We already started piloting using the AI ML to predict our top line sales, and that's now the process is quite mature already. We have quite a few different business units. We have a more stable, mature product. We have special need product, and we have the vaccines, which is quite seasonal as well. So those are the different, I would say, model that we need to be mindful. That's one model can work with one business, but might not be meet the need with the other business unit. So start with the AI as a reference. That was a long time ago, and then it's gradually we augment this functionality into the day-to-day business. So we have what we call in IBP, integrated business planning. We use AI ML to generate the first baseline predictions, monthly basis. So it gets integrated, ingested into the planning tool, where the supply chain make the enrichments or value add enrichments, and that's where also where the financial, commercial team, finance all together make a review process, make adjustments, finance to the supply chain do adjustment, and so once they finalize their demand process review, it goes back into the finance system. So then the finance people will also review to make a finance adjustment, this material adjustments in terms of the fresh target that come down as well. So that is get embedded and get the process look back into the AI platform to learn what other adjustment is being made. So that process is quite mature now in terms of the sales line. So what I started is the OPEX line as well. It's more challenging. It's not as straightforward as the OPEX, as the sales top line. So what I find is quite challenging is where is actually the sweet spot that we can find to get the benefit out of this AI. Because OPEX is challenging because it's also management intent. Business evolve, restructuring, reorganizations, and acquisition as well. That will change the structure of the organization. So the historical data might not be a good indicator of the future predictions. So that's we find quite challenging in terms of the OPEX, especially for a headcount. For example, we trialing that's using AI/ML to predict the headcount. On paper, it looks quite good. You know, we have a data, historical data, we have the driver, we have revenue as a driver, and in fact, that is not giving us quite a good result as well, because we learn very, very quickly that the headcount is mostly strategic decisions. So those kind of things that we need to know, people to know what is generating a value, a real impact by experimentation.
So really what you're saying is, to your question as well, you can't overlook org design as part of the
Process.
part of the blueprint. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Cyril or Kristine? Do you have anything to add to that? The redeployment of staff, which I think is the question.
Yeah. So the redeployment of staff, but we're very new really to the AI journey. We're still building our data warehouse. We're building all of our bits and pieces to bring us into one area. The redeployment of staff is something that we really haven't had to do, reduce our staff, because our strategy is growth and we're on a growth trajectory at the moment. So we've reskilled our staff. So we've realigned them with the practices and the benefits that we're getting from the AI, and we're planning for the future benefits from our AI, because there's more to our employees than just data. I know that sounds ridiculous, but there is. But the other part to our employees is their knowledge of our business. Now that's priceless in our industry. They're looking at the data. They're looking at it from a knowledge base. They're not just looking at it as numbers on a piece of paper and a story that it's telling. They're saying to me that, oh, quite clearly we've over-delivered services here. What do we need to do with this information? And we're taking it, making strategic decisions with the right teams and getting the right outcomes before we end up in the red. They're looking at data and going, there's a critical incident here, there's not enough information, we're not going to be able to claim these things because the regulatory guidelines are 90 days and here's all these other things. A computer can't do that. It doesn't have that touch right now to do all those bits and pieces. So we've changed our employees, especially in the finance space, from being data heavy and entering, and we've leveraged into Befree to help us out with a lot of bits and pieces.
There's the plug.
Yeah, there's the plug. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
But we have leveraged really well into Befree, and from a support team, they've helped us in that bookkeeping space and doing that methodical data entry that my team was quite bogged down in. And we've leveraged our team back into specialists in their fields, and we're training them and upskilling them and growing their confidence in our business and their passion for our business, which again is keeping our staff. We have long-term staff, we have very loyal staff. I'd like to think we have a really quite a good culture and a really welcoming environment, and that's what's going to help us get to the future. AI is another person in our room, and they're going to get us on that journey and make our data happen a lot quicker. But it's not going to be the be-all and end-all for us from that final space of knowledge, and that you can't replace with a computer.
Well, I can certainly say that the good folk at Befree are not artificially intelligent. They're genuinely intelligent. There you go, GI. That's the new buzzword, yeah. Okay, I'm going to end this by asking the three of you to give one piece of advice to the panelists to the audience who are about to embark on this journey. What's the one piece of advice?
Okay. I think being aware that we're in a disrupted space is super important. I think playing the waiting game is quite dangerous in a volatile market because, again, it's competition. Australia is a low GDP compared to the rest of the world. So I think it's that awareness. It's very, very key, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can get my piece of advice is when you start looking at the AI investment, do not start with the technology investment initiative. Start with the decision quality initiative. So that you will get a completely different results. I think that's aligned with the Tarek presentation as well. Start with why. what is the purpose of you doing that, and along the way that you learn quickly that where the problem is, which decision you need to improve, where the friction that you need to resolve, and how you measure the success is very important as well. The governance is cannot be underestimated. It's not for the sake of the control, but it's about the prioritization. How you prioritize your investment, capital investment, to get the most value out of it. So AI can do the job, can create efficiency, but the value comes down is a set scaling in line or much faster than the cost that you are spending on AI.
I probably just think outside the square. Don't limit yourself to what you've always known or what somebody tells you. If you've got an imagination, AI can do it for you. But you need to have faith in your imagination, put it on the table, and do planning from it. And from that, good things grow.
That's very good advice. And with that, I'd like you all to join me in thanking our official and our unofficial panel members.